Webcams as overhead cams for hybrid club meetings. Demo video by John Kelsey.
Next, we're going to want an overhead cam. And for that, we're going to use the $50 USB camera.
Most webcams are fixed focus, meant to be used up close. That's what makes them good overhead cams.
The advantage of this camera, of course, is that it's cheap and that it plugs in to the host computer by regular USB, and we have a USB extension cable to make it reach the computer. The disadvantage is it doesn't have any zoom. So to make it zoom, one has to raise and lower it and change the distance from the camera to the workpiece setup. And that way you can get it set up for the demo you're going to do, then leave it set up for the duration of the demonstration. I'm going to position it so that it looks down. I can adjust it here. I can raise it up here. I have a USB cable that comes off it here that I need to connect to the laptop, and I'm going to use this USB extension cable. Okay, there's the camera connected. I'm going to get it up now. That's it, looking at the floor. And I'm going to position this stand so the cam gives me the view I want of the lathe. Now this cam will do a lot better if it's not touching the lathe, so it doesn't vibrate, and if it's mounted on some kind of overhead apparatus. But I'm just using this stand to set the demo up for the purposes of demo. So there's the camera. And there's the view it shows. I can come right in, I can see the tool, I can see the lathe, this holding the tool, and how he's moving along the ways. If I want a different view with that cam, my best play is to raise it for a distant view and to come down with it for a more close-up view. USB video was the camcorder, 1080p webcam is the overhead cam, and FaceTime HD camera is the camera in the lid of the laptop. And there's the overhead cam. And as before, Shift Command N shifts among cameras. There's the laptop lid, there's the tailstock camera, and now there's the overhead camera. So it's a wheel and it steps around, and you can just go very quickly if you want to. Oh, I don't want that. Oh, I don't want that. Oh, I don't want that. I'll have that one. I've been using an app called Webcam Settings that seems to get at least some control of every webcam I've tried it with. When I first got it a couple of years ago, there was a PC version as well, and a quick search online turns up dozens of equivalent softwares for the PC. The Webcam Settings app, see if I can use it to control the El Cheapo cam. The Webcam Settings app is looking at the 1080 webcam. I cured the rolling by correcting the frequency setting over here to 60 instead of 50 hertz. Back at the basic, I have access to brightness, contrast.
The app has a bunch of other settings that you can change, but they don't actually have much effect on this 2-bit webcam. And that's about as good a picture as this webcam is able to deliver. The app permits control of zoom, pan, and tilt, but that's not available in this cam.
As we've just seen, almost any webcam can be made to work as an overhead cam for club demos at the lathe. Plus, you don't have to spend a whole lot more for webcams that are more versatile and more amenable to software control during a demo. In this next segment, we'll look at two popular webcams and we'll compare them to the generic 1080p that we just saw. We'll compare them all to what's become the gold standard for wood turning clubs, the Canon Vixia R80 camcorder.
And I'm in front of a laptop on a rolling stand at the tailstock end of the lathe where I can test a range of webcams.
First of all, to establish a reference standard, I've got the Canon Vixia mounted 32 inches over the lathe looking down on a walnut pot.
Here's what the camcorder sees, and here's what the camcorder is sending to the laptop.
It's far enough away so I can see I can show what it is I want to do, and it's close enough to be able to see the figure in the wood which is quite visible along with the tool marks. This hasn't been sanded yet, so here's the zoom range of the Vixia. Well, let's take it out the other way first. There's all the way out. There's a nice close-up of the pot itself. It's fully on it, and it will come into focus, and you see a lot of little detail. And we come in further to there. It's a neutral shot, and I'm going to take a screenshot of that so I can retain that for future reference. So if Vixias are such versatile camcorders, why are we messing around with webcams? Well, because Vixias have gotten pretty scarce and quite expensive, and webcams have got increasingly sophisticated. I've chosen 3 webcams at the price points of $50, $80, and $150. They're good cameras, they're popular, they work. I've seen them around clubs and I've used them myself, but they're not necessarily the latest and greatest best thing. Okay, that's the USB webcam looking down at the work at the same 32-inch distance away from the latheways.
The test apparatus, it's a lightweight photographer's lighting stand with a moving arm that's about 10, 12 inches long on it with a webcam dangling off it. It's a USB webcam. And I can hang any 1/4-inch threaded thing on this and position it in the very same place, which will be a test 32 inches above the ways of the lathe.
This webcam, as with many webcams, the only way to adjust the zoom is to move the camera. So if I want a closer view, I can bring the camera down like that. Now I'm about 9 inches away from the workpiece, and it will not quite come into focus there. If I raise it up to about 18 inches, however, it focuses quite well. And again, with webcam settings, I can work with that. This is the Poly P5 webcam, a USB camera from what used to be Plantronics. It costs about $80. It is clamped on the same universal arm, and it's at the same 32-inch reference distance above the lathe. And there's the picture that immediately comes up. That picture's way too hot, so I'm going to try and use the other software. This comes with a software that I think works on PCs, but I've not been able to get it to work on the Mac. What I have been able to get to work is this webcam settings panel. That's the image through the Polycam, the P5 webcam. The P5 webcam is about a foot above the workpiece. I have these controls on the screen that you can see here. They're on the basic screen. I can work with its brightness. I can lower it. That's pretty good. Okay, this is the advanced tab of the webcam setting panel for the Poly Studio P5. This is where I corrected the 50 to 60 cycle setting. It has backlight compensation, which is not an issue here. I'm leaving focus on auto for now. It has a zoom setting. The zoom setting allows it, it looks like a slider, but it really only has 2 positions. It goes to there and it goes to there. The cam, by the way, is about a foot above the workpiece. And anywhere you put it in the middle, it doesn't go anywhere in the middle, it just goes to the other position. It also has, however, some degree of pan and tilt. The pan setting works when the zoom slider is in the middle, which is really its biggest enlargement on this cam, but it has some degree of pan to side, and some degree of tilt from up to down. These are digital, not actually, there's nothing moving inside this camera, but they do allow you some degree of composing of your shot on the fly while the demo is going on. And that's a real help. I want to see a little more of the turner's hands. I can tip it up like that, and now I can see how the turner is holding the tool and where he is standing at the lathe. Okay, I like that shot. I'm going to make that the reference shot for the Poly P5 webcam. And finally, here's the Logitech Brio, which is $150 roughly. So we've gone 50, 80, 150 as the stages in buying webcams. That's how it came in when I connected it up. It has USB-C connections, and it has its own software as well as the webcam software. The webcam software is running right now, so I'm going to experiment with it first. The Logitech Brio software, which is called Logitune. I have the device, so there's my device.
I have to do. There we go. Now, from here I have access to the full range of zoom as well, and it works very well. I have access also to changing the field of view to 90 degrees, 78 degrees, or 65 degrees. And what that does is it also affects the zoom. So if I'm over here in 65 degrees, I can come way into there, and I can go way out to there. And when I'm on 90, I go way out to there, I can come into there. It's for color adjustment, it has a raft of filters. I don't want those. I want the adjustments. I have it on auto exposure and auto white balance, but now I can adjust the brightness. I can adjust the contrast. That was best at the center. I can adjust the saturation, which is more or less intensity in the color. And I kind of like it there. And that's a pretty good picture. So now I'm going to go back to full screen here, and this is the software that comes with the Logitech Brio, and right here I'm running it beside my Zoom meeting. When you go to full screen in Zoom, the color, and if you have the Brio software open, it remains open above the screen until you put it away. The Zoomists don't see it, but you will, and you can work with it. I'm going to go to the other tab. On the advanced, now I'm on the advanced screen in the Brio software, and not only do I have a very good range of zoom here, where it continues to pick up all the detail, and it really settles in good once it finds its autofocus. My reference shot is roughly, my neutral shot is around there, and it also has a certain degree of pan and tilt. Now this is not actual any physical pan and tilt. This is all digital, and within the biggest field of view that it has, it can move its window around. I can't with this get a better look inside the mouth of the pot. If I want to do that, I have to move the camera itself, which I'm just going to do right here just for fun. So now that I've done that, I can recenter that image. I'm at the limit of its range, and I can bring it down just a little bit. And now I'm going to put the Brio tab away, and there's my image. And I'm going to save that, and I'm going to end the. So that's the Canon Vixia camcorder, and that's a pretty tough standard for any of the webcams to beat. I can work with that. That's the Poly P5 webcam. But the Brio is the one that comes the closest for less than half the price.